I spent 410 days in solitary confinement, and now I'm here to talk to you about why I admire Bradley Manning. Bradley Manning made a choice. At 24 years old, he made a choice very consciously to take a risk, and he acted on his conscience. Bradley Manning's act of bravery and courage has benefited the entire world. The collateral murder video has changed history. For everyone in the world to be able to watch as Apache helicopters gunned down innocent, unarmed Iraqis and Reuters journalists. For them to be able to hear the chilling voice of a soldier laugh when he thinks he's run over a dead body, and to hear another soldier say, that's their fault for bringing their kids to a battlefield. That's their fault for bringing their kids to a battlefield. In the collateral murder video, 2 children were shot by this. They were, I don't know if it was an RPG, exploded the van that they were in. It was trying to rescue dead bodies. And the voice of that soldier is justifying the atrocity and the murder of children. That's what Bradley Manning gave the world. That's the voice that Bradley Manning gave the world. The Obama administration is on the wrong side of history for persecuting whistleblower Bradley Manning. Obama, the candidate, said that whistleblowers were patriots. And now the Obama administration has targeted whistleblowers more than any other administration in history. They've invoked the Espionage Act in 5 cases, which is more than all other administrations combined. So Bradley Manning and I have very different stories. I was held as a political hostage. He's a whistleblower in the US military. But what we have in common is that we are both being used by governments. My friends and I were used by the Iranian government to try to extract concessions from the US government. Bradley Manning is being used to set an example so that more whistleblowers, or potential whistleblowers in the future, will be afraid to act. Another parallel between Bradley Manning and myself is that we both endured psychological torture. And when you talk about torture, people say, okay, where are the marks? You know, why aren't you limping? You look fine to me. The psychological torture that Bradley Manning endured in Quantico and I endured at Evin Prison is 23 hours a day in lockdown, alone in a cell, with nothing in the world but your own terrifying thoughts. The reason that they gave for holding Bradley Manning in solitary confinement was for his own protection. They said he was at suicide risk. I was told the same thing. I was told that I couldn't be in a same cell with an Iranian woman because I might be in danger, which is a lie. People in solitary confinement are 50% more likely of committing suicide than other prisoners in the general population. In our country, and we are the greatest offenders of psychological torture in the form of prolonged solitary confinement of any country in the world, we have up to 80,000 people in isolation on any given day, up to 20,000 or more in prolonged isolation, which the UN has clearly said is torture. So even though Bradley Manning and I have unusual stories, the conditions and the torture that we endured is not unusual. It's prevalent and widespread in prisons across this country today. When I try to describe the torture of solitary confinement, I don't think, I'm always at a loss for words because I don't really think that it can be described in words. It's like a slow death. There's a gray, limitless ocean spread out in front of you and behind you that threatens to swallow you. It's a world with the life drained out of it. They put Bradley Manning in solitary confinement because they wanted to break him. That's the only reason to torture a person. A broken prisoner is easier to control, and I'm sure they hoped that he would inform on Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, which he didn't. I work now with an organization called Solitary Watch, and we're trying to get the U.S. government and prisons across the U.S. to admit that we hold more people in solitary confinement than any country in the world. The UN, the committee, we as the United States is a signatory of the Convention Against Torture, and the preceding body, the Committee Against Torture, has said that prolonged solitary confinement is torture. In 2011, the Special Rapporteur on Torture, Juan Mendez, said that any period of over 15 days can cause permanent psychological damage and can constitute torture. In our country, we have people in solitary confinement for months, years, and even decades. So, when I think, if I could, what I would do is I would walk up to Bradley Manning and I would put my hands on his shoulders and I would thank him. I would thank him for trying to prevent Iraqis from being tortured. I would thank him for helping information get out of corruption in Tunisia that added to the momentum that sparked the Arab Spring. I would say, thank you, Bradley Manning, for helping us have a more informed debate. Thank you, Bradley Manning, for your courage as a whistleblower. Thank you, Bradley Manning, for being an extraordinary citizen. And thank you for what you've given us all.